Hello, guys. Welcome to this new edition of Mind Podcast. This is Adit coming to you on yet another weekend and bringing you a very different yet special podcast. We're not going to talk about news. We're not going to talk about what the current affairs issues this week in this podcast. We will have plenty of podcasts to talk about news. We might even skip into some news. Who knows? It's the format of the podcast is such. But this is a very special podcast, like all Indians, and this is not my line. I think Anand Vardhan said it. Like all Indians, we too at Mindmakers are focusing on everything that's divisible by five, fifth, 10th, 25th, 50th, 100th, and so forth. So as we approach 300 episodes on Mindmakers, we wanted to do a special two-part series, and we wanted to focus on our, we talk about the past, we talk about our present, but we want to talk about the future in these two my podcasts. And these two are we call them the UPSC Civil Servant Special, Future Civil Servant Special podcast. So I have a very special panel with me, and I'm going to introduce them in no particular order. But I have with me Karishma Nair, Dr. Pala Mishra, Valay Vaidya, and Nirja Shah. I'll give all of their individual introductions, but they've all cleared the UPSC exam. They're all UPSC graduates. Like I was joking with them before the podcast, they have been talking as and talking to a lot of aspirants. Now they're going to be talking to many UPSC officers, many people like you and I, in commentators, and I'm looking forward to having a very interesting conversation with them. So without further ado, I'll introduce them. So one by one. Karishma, you are a Malayali who's based in Mumbai, and your background is forensic science. Fascinatingly. Apala, you are a dentist, and you also have an army background, like you mentioned. And where are you based? I'm sorry, I did not. It's fine if you don't want to say it as well. You can call it a region as well.
I'm currently in Ghaziabad, NCR.
So no, but I have to put that out there because on the podcast and live streaming this is going out, so people. And then Valay, you share my background of being an engineer and being from Gujarat, but then and also focusing on technology like most, we go into that, but then you chose UPSC. So we are looking forward to understanding why engineers are choosing civil services as well on that. So welcome to the show. And Nirja, LAMP fellow, lawyer, a Guju for Mumbai. And I have tweeted this out, but I'm going to set this on the record. She's also my sister. So don't show it as a big discovery that, we discovered. I've tweeted it out with a picture on my Twitter. So I just had to put it out there. But yeah, Nirja, so from lawyer to civil services, it's been an intriguing journey. So we'd be very interested to talk about that. But welcome all of you to Mind Podcast. Now we'll go straight into it. Karishma, with you first. How has the journey been, and why chose civil services after forensic science? Was that an afterthought, or did you actually decide that you always wanted to go into civil services first?
So I'm not someone who always wanted to go into civil services. While I was pursuing graduation, I thought that police is something because I've done forensic science. So I thought that getting into the police, I could use the things that I've learned in a much better way. And no matter how good a scientist you are, you can only do so much with the evidence that you get. So I thought that a leadership position would help me to do better in life or to change the crime scenario. So from first year of college, I was okay, I'll do this, and then I'll attempt civil services to enter the police services. But then when I started preparing, and I had public administration as my optional, and that's when I dug deeper into it, and I came to know what administrative services entails, and then the kind of developmental work that is possible, and the kind of this just sounds so much like an interview answer, but yeah, so all of that really pulled me towards the administrative services, which is why I gave administrative services as my first option and police as my second option. So the journey was very organic. It first started with the police services, and it then evolved into the administrative
Yeah, no,
science.
I see three heads nodding in agreement, and just for our viewers, I don't think I planned this, but we do fit the Indian stereotype because we have two engineers, one lawyer, one science from forensic science, one scientist, and one dentist on that. So we hit the holy trinity of law, engineering, medicine, and science just on this podcast. Trust me, we did not plan this; it just happened. But no, I saw three heads nodding in agreement. Tapal, I want to go to you next. You were from a medical background, right? From there to civil services. How does one do? Because I mean, it's a very different approach, right? You have to take. I'm not talking in terms just of the effort, but in terms of mindset, how you approach medical in college and then civil services exam later. So how do you navigate those?
Definitely, the approach required is pretty different for both the exams, but
Hmm.
you have to do what you have to do. And I think medicine as a subject is something that is very intrinsically linked to our daily lives, and
Hmm.
that is something that should be actually linked with all our
Hmm.
lives.
Hmm.
So I think in that way, medicine itself worked as an inspiration for me to take up
Hmm.
civil services, and this is how I went about it. It took me some time to understand how to go through it,
Hmm.
but once you begin understanding stuff, I think all gets linked and all gets related.
Yeah. Some may argue that even after you guys are there, you're like part of us still feels 20%. हम लोग ने कैसे कर दिया यार? there are still aspects that are there. Valai, would you like to shine a little bit of light on your journey and then to what I said, right? Can you really like is 100% of you still on that you've like done what you accomplished to do, or कुछ कुछ रह जाता है कि oh yeah 10%, even after your interview, even after you're selected, you still go back into thinking mode.
या दैट ऑलवेज हैपेंस कि यार यहाँ पे कुछ अच्छा हो सकता था और ये कैसे हो गया, इतने सारे मार्क्स कैसे आ गए. So
Yeah.
that is always there. But so
Yeah.
I come from an engineering background. So, but during my entire college, I was very active in student politics. And in my final year, I also became the general secretary of student body government of DICT. So during that 1 year, I realized कि when people used to come to me with some problem, I would give them some answers. I had some resources to put into place to carry out various events, and we also designed some of the policies for the governance of the institute and everything. So then I realized that this is something that I would want to do. Of course, I could code. I knew how to code, but then I would never feel that waking up say 7-8 a.m. in the morning, and I would feel कि चलो यार आज ये application बना देते हैं, ये आज ये कर देते हैं. But I would always feel कि आज ये initiative ले सकते हैं या फिर आज ये कुछ कर सकते हैं. So that way I realized that this was something that was my calling and I would want to pursue that. So, but of course, I mean, it's been 5 years. It was my own 5-year plan, and that I took in order to clear it. But yeah,
Setting yourself up for civil services, my friend, by quoting 5-year plans.
yeah. I had never intended to do so though when I started.
That's fine. No, that is why we have my. No, that is why we have podcasts, right? The दबे हुए intentions भी बाहर आ जाते हैं.
I wanted it to be a rolling plan, but it also happened.
No, we call it a work in progress. That's the American term for it, anyways. Over here, and Indian Americans, especially in engineering, love to use it. Nirjay, your journey right from lawyer to civil services, from a profession that is inherently argumentative to a profession where you have to inherently listen to other people's arguments, right? So, how did you convince yourself that you can do it?
So, like what I genuinely think is that when we're 18 and we're in school, we kind
Huh.
of take default options that are
Huh.
before us that are like reasonably prestigious enough to satisfy our parents and like reasonably cover our interests as well. So I
Huh.
think that's what a lot of people do. So you start with a professional degree because you think, like, okay, you'll get a job, you'll get some recognition because that's how the entire market works. But I think when I was in law school, I kind of realized that what lawyers do really is get into small details of every single case, but do not get into the big picture. And that's what policy really is. So that's why I sort of switched focus sometime in law school, where I thought that for me to actually like feel an impact and feel that what I'm working on every single day is helping people, then policy is a better way. And the current policy space is completely dominated by civil services. So that's really the reason that I took this path.
Fascinating, fascinating. And guys, I mean, we have had the intro, so I'm going to open the floor, and we're going to have, so feel free to jump in whenever. This is not going to be like five heads shouting at each other. I promise you guys. Viewers of Mind Podcast know how much I loathe that, but but we do have five heads, so we'll put our heads to these things. All of you come from very a variety of like different regions as well, right? So with the best part about India is, right, and I somehow realized that my connect to India remains as strong as it was. But one thing what I realized when I came to US is when you talk to people who are not from Gujarat, like the two places I spend the most of my time was Ahmedabad and Mumbai, and then it comes here, you broaden your horizon, and then you find people approach with different sensibilities as well. People approach it with various local sort of baggage around certain professions, certain civil services. So did you feel like you sort of transcended the norm that was around you, what you guys grew up with in terms of schooling, in terms of college, or where your parents came? And whoever wants to take it, guys, just feel free to jump in. I see a lot of nodding heads, so someone has to.
Yeah. Karishma.
Yeah, so I feel that
you were voluntold by Nirja to speak up
yeah,
first.
she could just see that I was like jumping with you. I have an answer to that question.
Yes, go for it.
Yeah, so firstly, it's like that in Mumbai the civil services culture is not there. So I went to prepare in Delhi. So in Delhi, everyone is just like, oh wow, this is a big thing. And then when you come back to Mumbai, it's like even when the result came, like everyone up north is like, oh, you must be doing this, must be doing that. And this is very like, it's just another thing in Mumbai, which is something that I appreciate also. But like you said that culturally, I think Mumbai is more of, finance and professional work and not really civil services. Another place that I come from is Kerala. So people always say that Kerala is the worst cadre to get into also because over there, it's a normalized thing. There is no like, oh, this is larger than life, which is also something that I appreciate. So I think that transcending the norm, I also come from a family where none of them, I'm like the first person who even gave this exam. So my sister's an engineer, and my father's a banker, my mother's a teacher. So yeah, it is something that there has to be a start in every place, and I'm glad that I was the start in this family. So yeah, I think the regional thing is more of visibility. So I think visibility is less in Mumbai, and in Kerala the visibility is of more nobody looks up to people because they are from a certain profession. So I think that is different in different cultures.
Absolutely. What about you guys? Valai, Apala, whoever wants to jump in.
So I come from basically, see, Gujarat में तो civil service का कुछ ज़्यादा culture है ही नहीं, and all people have this business mentality.
Seen it firsthand, buddy, in Ahmedabad.
They would just grow up and do some business sort of a thing. So when I went to Delhi for preparation, some of my friends over there in coaching classes, they would also say, "यार, तो business करना है, क्या कर रहा है?" मैंने कहा नहीं करना business. So that was one. But then the second thing was also that since I had I am also a first generation bureaucrat. No one in my family, extended family, no one had worked for the government only. Everyone is doing private job. Secondly, I also come from a Gujarati medium background. So I studied, my schooling was done in Gujarati medium. So it was initially difficult when I entered the college. I came across a very cosmopolitan crowd in my college. So I realized that I had to pick it up, the English, the overall language of Hindi, everything. So eventually I also picked it up. And then I think it motivated me and it gave me the confidence that even I can do it. And as I said, I developed the interest initially, third, fourth year. Before starting the preparation, I had this background of student politics. So that motivated me कि नहीं ये तो कर लेते हैं, हो जाएगा, कुछ इतना वो नहीं है. तो हाँ, मतलब that is something there. Of course, so Gujarati, being a Gujarati, it is even more fascinating. When I cleared the exam, in fact, currently I'm also serving in the government of Gujarat. So when I cleared that, the first thing people ask you is कि तो कितना कमा लोगे? So I mean, they don't care about the post and everything. So they would just go on and ask you your salary, and you cannot even say because it is the government salary. So I mean that happens, but I mean, ठीक है.
No. So before I go to Apala, one interesting thing what you said, right? To paraphrase what you said when you had to go to Delhi for class, right? People, and I'm going to take the liberty of speaking for 3 seconds in Gujarati. People in Gujarat will be like, "Chokra Delhi moklo, engineer banayna." You know, that is the general consensus that you ask. How Gujarati parents get bombarded with questions. It's never that we chose to go to Delhi. It's Chokra ne Gujarati moklo. Arre,
No.
you want
What's worse? Chokri ne
Moglo,
Gujarati
US.
moklo.
US more. Right here.
US Moglo chokra ne.
You- no, and he still talks about Indian politics also, sitting in US. So that is, anyways, my thing is, I go to, I make, we do more events at the Indian embassy than we do outside anyways. So we're very much connected with, with that. But no, it's true. Like over here, we primarily being outside of India, like we generally meet with IFS officers, but then we are also we also interact a lot with bureaucrats, because you'll have many ministries, like especially Texas being petroleum and oil and gas. You have a lot of bureaucrats and ministers that do come to Texas, commerce, finance, so variety of things. So Apala, coming to you next, what going sort of back into Karishma and Valay's argument, what is your sort of perspective on this?
Yeah, so as Karishma and Vale mentioned, I think I'd share the same story with them of being the first generation bureaucrat. And
Yeah.
I come from an essentially army background, which means that people in my family, in my extended family, everyone is in the army. And everyone just gives the CDS and NDA exams. But apart from that, another thing was that I came from a dentistry background. And in dentistry as well, nobody appears for the civil services exam. I think I'm the only person from my college who has cleared this
Wow.
exam. So this definitely had a lot of hurdles in my preparation journey. But like Karishma said, that it was very organic. Once I entered into this, the motivation kept coming on, and I kept preparing, and things started falling into place.
Excellent. For everyone who's thinking, many, first time viewers, why we are digressing, podcasts are meant to digress. Trust me, if I could, I would be doing just an audio only podcast. But now, post COVID, all of you guys want video as well as audio. So here we are doing this. So, but the rule of digression is not going to stop. So you'll find us exploring various topics as we are discussing. Nija, you next. What do you think?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm kind of a combination of Vala and Karishma in the sense that I'm Gujarati and I'm also from Mumbai. I think I have faced a lot of like ignorance about what this exam is and what it could be. A little bit more like the school that I come from, Jamnabai, is the most famous for producing actors and actresses and nothing else. So I think, maybe school wise, that is what people do. Like they're doing more creative work. And in Mumbai as a whole, like I really related with what Karishma says is that everybody is kind of doing their own thing. Nobody gives anybody respect, and like even a normal person who's doing any kind of job gets respect as an individual. So that is a very good cultural thing about Mumbai. But I mean, I've faced a lot of hilarious things before and after I've cleared. People have asked my parents, ki like, Atruj bhane che to she would have done CA only. That's better only. So sorry again. I went into Gujarati because we have two people here. I think Karishma also understands a little bit. So what really happened to me?
Sadly, half the world believes that Gujaratis are out to colonize everyone, anyways. So.
Nija's first question to me was, "Are you Gujarati also?" Like that's just the first question she asked me.
No, but I have a point to make here. So it is often said in Gujarati कि जहाँ जहाँ वसे गुजराती ત્યાં સદાકાળ ગુજરાત मतलब wherever the Gujarati lives there is a Gujarat.
Yeah.
So it happens if you go to say Toronto or any place even in
No, come to Houston. Nirja knows it firsthand. We have the Garba over here. We have made it completely multicultural and forced everyone to wear Gujarati clothes. But Nirja, to complete your point,
also.
It's Falguni Baba plus.
Yeah, I mean there, yes. No, but Nirja, complete your point. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was saying that but in a way it also made things easier for me because nobody really understood what I was doing, so they kind of gave up. My own aunt, who is Adit's mother, after I cleared, she asked me if I was going to be an inspector. So, I mean, so it was just funny, but in a
Yeah.
way, like it also created less pressure on me while I was
Yeah.
studying because, like, nobody really knew what the services meant, what the things meant. So, it was like my own private journey in that sense. So, I guess,
Yeah.
background, sometimes there are advantages, disadvantages, but it's more about like how strong your motivation is and like what your reasons are for getting into it. And I also took things like sort of with a pinch of salt because sometimes I feel like in society as general, like people are just trying to stereotype everybody so that it's easier to like comprehend what they're doing. So like, oh, you did this degree, you should do this job. Oh, your parents do this, you should do this. And I don't know, but like I feel it's a remnant of the caste system. Sorry to get into like a very different
No,
tangent.
but no stereotype, like to stereotype is exists in all societies. The reason why
Yeah.
people stereotype is because that's how they try to stand different. Because they'll go and stereotype everyone. So by default, acha, I don't belong to a part of the stereotype. But no, you are the stereotype that stereotypes people. That's
Yeah.
what I want
So
to, So I think that's how it ultimately pans out.
yeah, so I don't know. So like I just feel that like eventually our generation as a whole is trying to figure our own path.
Hmm.
And so just our degree, just our background, it doesn't seek to like restrict this generation. So mostly we see like people in the civil services from a lot of different backgrounds. It's not
Yeah.
that you're just from Delhi University,
Yeah.
and the preparation itself is decentralized. So
No, and it's evolving also, right? I mean, if you asked 25 years ago if an engineer meant writing a code in front of a laptop, people would laugh you off. And right now, as a civil engineer, I do all my designing on a laptop, right? Who would have thought that civil engineers actually spend more time on the laptop rather than off it? But that's just the world we live in. But I want to ask you all a lighter question, right? You have to tell me the one most frustrating and the one the funniest episode that you've had while preparing or giving your civil service exams, because I'm sure there are plenty and there are plenty that you carry along with yourself. So, uh, who would like to go first? One most frustrating and one most funny. And you don't have to say both. जो भी याद आए वो बोलो. I mean,
I can just remember one. One
yeah.
of my mom's friend after I cleared called mom and then he said कि मुझे पता है कुछ हुआ है but please समझा दो क्या हुआ है.
Yeah.
So it was nice, like he wanted to learn, but like
People are wishing congratulations on WhatsApp and Instagram. I want to know why. So,
that's basically it. He didn't want to be left out.
yeah.
So
What about you, Apala? Any memories you have?
I can only remember that my mom is getting a lot of passport size pictures of boys for rishtas.
Yes, of course. Are the boys submitting themselves or are they at least telling their parents to do it? I mean, I don't even know how it works.
So someone called my mom and said, I'm sending the picture. My mom said, yeah. She thought it would be my picture, but it ended up being a guy's picture and with all details. She's
That's
like,
an
what is
amazing
this?
story. Congratulations for your daughter's achievement.
is that frustrating or funny, Apala?
It's both.
Yeah, it's both. Okay. She had a two-in-one
it
story.
depends on the guy. It depends on the
Yeah,
guy.
exactly. I
It
thought
depends
that
on
would
the
be the
picture.
answer.
No, I think what is that quote that humor is tragedy times time or something like that. So it's probably you can say the same thing that humor at UPSC is frustration or laced out over 10 years you laugh over it in 35 or something. But Karishma, what about you?
So I think frustrating is like I remember when I didn't clear last time. So everyone means well, but then they come up with conspiracies about UPSC that there is a North Indian bias or
Yeah,
it's because of reservation or
yeah,
it's like so, and that they want to
yeah.
get you out of that grief, but then it's also like, hey, I want to explain how this works to you, but now I'm like too busy crying and studying for prelims again. So that was frustrating. I think funny, I remember I was in my hostel in Delhi. I was preparing, and the cook over there, he was like, पता है I'm working in this I'm cooking over here for like 6 years. आज तक इस hostel से एक लड़की का clear नहीं हुआ. And then I was like, what if they cleared and they didn't tell you? And then he said, जब clear होता है ना करिश्मा सब आके बोलते हैं. So whenever I would always think that the first person I'll call is this cook uncle, but sadly I still don't have his number, so I don't know if he'll be watching any of the interviews that I've given. But yes, I made it.
What have you ever talked about him before or no?
No, this is the first time. I should talk about him more, right? Yeah.
There you go.
No one really asked me this question.
No, but
yeah.
that's what I'm saying. No, that is what we want to do with this podcast also, because it is not just a journey of academics. Like in India, that is the biggest problem we have. Whenever we talk to people about any exam, IIT, this, everyone wants to focus about academics. Acha, 11th, 12th mein kya hua? Mentally, how you? But there are all these other factors that play. Apala saying that her mom started getting rishtas, or you saying that some cook saying, and this all plays on your mind, right? It's like you're walking and some kachori wala comes and says, "अच्छा आप इस hostel में रहते हो? यहाँ से तो कोई होता ही नहीं है. मैंने तो 5 साल में मिठाई नहीं खाई," and that freaking plays on your mind.
Exactly.
क्या हो रहा है?
Yeah.
So no, and it's funny because we as engineers we have to give this exam over here, which is an 8-hour long exam, right? And in at the 6th or the 7th hour, you're just so sleepy because like you have not slept the night before while you're writing the paper, and you know that a third of the people are only going to clear it, or half the people are going to clear it. So I remember my funniest memory was I went into the restroom and just splashed my face with water, and my entire shirt was like half water. And the professor like comes and he's like, "Did you get into a fight with someone in the restroom?" And I said, "Yes, myself." And I've woken myself up from it. So it's those are the things, right? So what about you, Valai?
So when the results came, I happened to tweet this one tweet ki it's been 5 years since I started this journey, and finally it comes to a fruitful conclusion, and I secured this rank. So there are, I mean, frenzy of comments, right? People are congratulating and everything, appreciating ये वो. उसमें एक बीच में आता है 5 साल लगा दिए तो कोई ढंग का ही कर लेते. So that was very interesting. कि यार सही चल रहा है. लोगों के कुछ अलग.
Twitter is a
That's also
remarkable.
the reaction of people to 5-year plans. So there you have it.
Yes.
पर ये वाला successful रहा ना.
Yes. No, this is preparing you for what you're going to face when you announce new schemes on Twitter. Because I honestly don't think Twitter is going to get any less toxic. People might get bored with it, but because I mean, the last 1 year, because we've done so I do regular cricket podcasts also. We have 2-3 friends, and I get more shit talking about cricket than I do about politics, and I don't know what that tells us about our Twitter thing. I was like, why do I get more trolling when I talk about Virat Kohli? But apparently that's how it's become.
PR team.
So I just wanted to say one more thing because we're talking about Twitter.
Yeah.
So you know how like girls will always get DMs on Twitter like send pics, send pics, send pics. As soon as like I cleared the exam, I started to get send notes, send notes, send notes, send notes. So that was a drastic
That
shift in what
escalated
people
quickly.
wanted from me. So
But it must feel good, right? That feeling, right? If I were to come to you, Apala first, and then Karishma, like the whole journey, right? You 2.5, 3 years. I mean, how many of you guys spent different sort of years depending on what path you chose, depending on how you prepared, and then you just have it all in one day. It's a lot to take in, and it's almost like a spring going off.
Definitely, that is there.
Yeah, but did you feel sort of a bittersweet reaction कि यार एक दिन में नहीं आना चाहिए था, at least किश्तों में मुझे enjoy करने को मिलता, because my life has eroded slowly over 2.5 years, and now you're like, I can have it all back in one day.
Really, all I can say is that I have not slept properly ever since the results came out, and it's been so hectic, and so it gets overwhelming at times, and you're not able to take it all in at one go.
That's fine. I don't think it's slowly is probably the way to go. I think when you guys go further, meet your fellow batchmates and so forth, and I think till you don't step into service the first day, it's not going to hit you guys. It rarely does. I'm not saying because I have experience. I've just spoken to people who've been where you guys have been, and that's what they all claim to tell me. Karishma, what about you?
Yeah, it's more or less the same. It was just like happiness came, I think, 2 weeks after. First it was shock, then relief, and then finally it reached happiness. So yeah, I think we have had like 2 months, but it doesn't feel like it. As Apala said, sleep is something that at first it was like not sleeping because you were studying. Now it's not sleeping because happiness and all of that. So yeah, that has been, I think that has been the case with most people. Like
Yeah.
we've all been in a state of shocks. Like I was telling Neerja this, that one day before the result, we are like even questioning whether we'll clear the exam, let alone whatever rank you're getting. So that, and the other thing is the socializing. So 2 years like you are not interacting with anyone, and then suddenly it's just a lot of people, which I like, but then I'm a little lazy, so that has been like
No,
catching up
but
with a lot of people. Yeah.
after a few months, people do suck. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's just you being polite. But
No. And one more thing is like I get so after the initial euphoria, it's like normal only. I get scolded at कि अरे घर साफ नहीं रख रहे हो, ये कर रहे हो. So the first 1 month it was going
Manoj,
on. Now my father is also like, अरे when are you going? People are asking now. You're not going only. You're here since 2 months. Also, what is happening? So yeah, I think my family is like keeping me grounded all the time. कि हाँ रोज
yeah,
डांट भी सुनानी है, सब करना है.
the Dantna is actually preparing you for senior officers.
I don't
What
think
you're-
senior officers will be that harsh, but yeah.
That's true. Neja and Valai, what about you guys?
So, see, when the results came, I think happiness तो ठीक है, खुश तो सब होते हैं, but मुझे लगता है कि I was more relieved than just happy. I think that is the first emotion that I felt कि हाँ चलो यार, मतलब लिस्ट में नाम आ गया, बढ़िया चलेगा, हो गया. Happiness comes, I think, later on, because once you start to really think that how relieved you are, how you are able to watch movies guilt free and everything, and you are able to talk to people, move out, spend time somewhere else, traveling and so on. So then you feel that this is exactly what relieved means, because 4 or 5 years, I was just concentrating on this one topic, and everything in my life revolved around it. And any decision that I took कि नहीं इससे पढ़ाई खराब होगी, ये कुछ किताब पढ़ ली तो इससे ऑप्शनल में फायदा हो जाएगा, ये सब मतलब it is. So I mean that is not how it should be. So I had started realizing this in last 1.5 years, and then I started also distancing myself from the preparation. Ki I would not want to just would not want my life to revolve around it. So that is something that hit me, and overall, yeah, I mean it was good, of course.
No, and before I come to Ninja, there is a funny story. Like after I found out about her result and we had jumped and shouted at each other on the phone adequately. The first thing I did was send her a list of 10 things to watch on Netflix and Amazon Prime. If you remember, I was like, now I can send you guilt free all these shows that I've been watching and wanting to tell you that you should. And I think it took you like a month and you finished them all. You're like, I'm done. What is next?
Yeah, like I really relate to what everybody's saying, and this is happening because I'm answering last. So, actually, it's like what Valai said really resonated with me, because everything becomes around preparation. For me, even my personal life was being planned around preparation.
Right.
So, what really happens is that it becomes not only your focus, but like your entire family's focus. So like sometimes your entire school, sometimes your entire college, your entire friend circle, like even if you're like, oh, let me eat ice cream, and then you're like, oh no, maybe I'll get a headache, and then maybe I won't be able to study tomorrow. So it's even the small things. So like when the result came, I actually just searched, when I searched the PDF and I just saw that my name is there, I was happy, because I was like, at least now I have something in my hand. I didn't even see the rank. So that's really how it is, because it's so uncertain and it's really binary, right? Because whoever's prepared knows that there are like 3,000-4,000 really good candidates. Okay.
Yeah.
And at least interview candidates, almost everybody is really good. So because there is so much like human factor, whether in the interview, in the mains, anytime, even in the prelims for that matter, like we don't really know what's going to happen in the end because of the level of competition and the level that people put in. So really what happens is that like year after year you might not have the same result. So just finding your name in the list is kind of a sense of relief, and you feel like you can restart your life again with some justification, because everything else was like being justified for this exam.
Yeah. No, so since you gave me a good segue, so I'm coming to you first for the next question, Nirja, about the interview, because you have to put that, because that's the big thing, right? Even though it's 20% of your mains, right? Interview does occupy probably 60 or 70% of the mind space, because as focused as you are about clearing the mains, that is one place where you cannot bomb and come back, because you are there in front of people, and it's your expressions tell as much of a story as the answers do, right? So
Yeah.
uh, and how, like, how does one mentally prepare for that? Physically, I know, emotionally, so you guys learn, like, read about so many things, do so many mock interviews, so I know you are ready, your mind is ready, right? But the reason why I make the distinction about emotionally and mentally is that that day, the strength that you need from inside to with that strong face, that's only up to you. No preparation can do that, right? So if I ask for a few, Nija, you first, what would you say? What changed there?
So, I mean, I was the most stressed out about the interview. I think it's because, like, I knew somewhere at the back of my mind that I love talking and like expressing myself. So, it would be an area in which I could push myself. And I went through the most tough phase of my life because the interviews also got pushed, and my interview was initially scheduled for the very end. So I just felt like I would be bombarded with transcripts, because we have all these like Telegram groups where there are so many updates like all the time. So you're just seeing other people's questions without understanding the context. So I think, like, when it comes personally for me, interview is the phase where I really try to develop a good perspective on issues. So I mean, I would talk to you, I would talk to my other friends who are working in fields, and try to like kind of like understand what's going on in the outside world from a sort of well-informed citizen perspective. Because what really happens is that, we align everything towards mains preparation, prelims preparation. We're trying to like gain that information that gets you through those phases. But really, in the interview, what you need to know is what a well-informed citizen knows. So that was kind of what happened for me. And like emotional preparation was like a lot of mocks. You give a lot of mock interviews, and you just like get the courage to kind of see your face answering really difficult questions again and again.
Yeah.
And that kind of like, when you see that, especially because of the second wave, all of our stuff was mostly
Yeah.
online. So you see those recordings of yourself, and you kind of develop the patience of like micro analyzing things that you've never thought about, like hand movements,
Yeah.
hairstyle, sari draping. I know, like, there are so many aspects, because you want to create a perfect impression from like the time you enter till the time you exit. And I think, just like faith,
Not
you
just
have to
sari
have.
draping. For you guys, it's probably like, because I have never seen anyone go to a professional interview in a sari. So I mean, it's great that you guys did it. It's the whole concept of, what if I fall over wearing a
Yeah,
sari
it is a
going to the
thing.
interview. It is a thing. I mean, yeah.
So I mean, I learned how to like hold my pallu in such a way that when I stand up, it won't come in the
Yeah.
way. So these are the kind of micro analysis you do of everything, and that is what kind of like, I think in a way is like you're impressing somebody, you're compressing your entire life into 30 minutes. So it's pressurizing. But if you're like a well organized person, which I think anybody who clears this exam is, you can work on like what you think works for majority of people. I
Hmm.
also think you develop a sort of officer's mindset throughout the preparation. And if you develop that well in the mains, and by this I mean that you have a reason for every like and every opinion that you're giving.
Hmm.
So sometimes we have certain biases growing up. I come from a very liberal college because I'm from an NLU, and everybody from
Hmm.
NLUs is definitely left wing. And then what happens is that like you kind of develop that, okay, not everybody's right. So the exam process also makes you like that, which kind of comes out in the interview.
Hmm. Well, colleges are colleges. I always say that anyone who wrote and thought in college, it's the one thing is it's never going to be consistent with what you grow up are, because when you step into the professional world, it's a whole new challenge from what the college is, especially engineering colleges. We are as homogeneous as it gets. But Apala, if I were to ask you this, right, and I'm coming to Karishma and Valai next. is there a temptation sometimes, because if an interviewer sort of pushes you, right, what was your experience interviewing first, and then sometimes if an interviewer pushes you, is there a temptation to give an aggressive response, but then you also realize what is at stake, so you have to taper down your response?
So I am, as a person, never giving aggressive responses in my life. So that temptation never arose for me. But yes, I guess it is all about being honest, and while being honest, being constructive in your criticisms. Because of course, at times they ask 3 4 questions on the same topic and trying to test you,
Hmm.
whether you actually understand your opinion or not. And
Hmm.
those are the times when you should be really thorough with the
Hmm.
perspective that you have about that issue. And I think this is what makes the interview preparation a little tricky, because you need to be really clear in your thoughts about what
Hmm.
your opinion is and what you're standing for.
Hmm.
And I think it's okay to take any stand in the interview as long as you're able to justify it. So
Yeah.
that's all right.
Fascinating. I mean, you have to have, like, everyone has an opinion. So, what you're saying is very interesting. Don't completely hide your opinion also, because
So
that doesn't get you
Apala
anywhere.
is actually the interview topper, like across the board. Yeah.
Wow. So not only was that response true, but there was also a very humble response. Apala, you should be like, I crushed it. That should be your, that should be your interview sort of thing. But no, like anything, like what about you guys, Karishma Valai? What do you took back from the interview? What was your experience? And what I said about aggressive, right? Did you guys ever face that? Any topic that you felt like you were pushed or something? Any one of you guys first?
So thank you. So I think I am aggressive. I am bold, in fact. So I just say what I feel like.
Yeah.
So in interview also it happened couple of times, in fact, where I dominated actually, and I had to at one point of time I actually entered into this one exchange of argument with a
Huh.
board member, and
Yeah.
then I suddenly realized that she might be finding me rude. So
Yeah.
I just corrected myself. I said, "Ma'am, I'm just trying to humbly say," and I
Huh.
was not really humble even in saying that.
Yeah.
But I did that. But I do not think that that backfired. And at the same time, I think I was pretty much confident throughout because of the
Yeah.
kind of practice that I had put in the interview. So I
Hmm.
did not really read much for this year's interview, but
Hmm.
I practiced a lot with couple of my friends, Parul and
Hmm.
Arun. So we
Hmm.
three used to discuss various interview questions that came to our mind
Hmm.
every day for 2 hours,
Hmm.
9:30 p.m. to 11:30 every day, every night, after I return from my COVID duty. So I would say कि यार देखो पढ़ा कुछ नहीं है पर तुम बताओ क्या करना है.
Yeah.
So we used to do this every day, and
Hmm.
fortunately we all got decent marks.
Right.
So I think that is what my point of view was. Ki I had to focus more on my communication skills, how I presented a point rather than what I was actually speaking, because that also matters a lot. Because if you read a lot of things in last 4 5 years, I've read many things. I mean, but then at times I would not know how to present it. So
Right.
that is what I learned this time around. Ki
Hmm.
this is how I have to say things without getting the answer too stretched, or I mean, without even speaking much.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was my overall experience. But yeah, as you said, I there were some aggressive questions from
Yeah.
their end, and I also gave aggressive answers, and I think it just all
Which,
played out
because
well.
it always struck me that this has to have happened. I mean, you have opinions, and sometimes they also want you to push back, right? Because
Yeah, yeah.
the job profile is such that it is a carrot and a stick, right? It's not just carrot all the time, and it's not just sticks all the time. You have to balance it out.
I think what I learned in last 2 years of my current job,
Yeah.
which is also a government job, is
Hmm.
that you have to be decisive.
Hmm.
You have to
Hmm.
take a stand
Yeah.
everywhere, because if you are not decisive and if you do not take a stand, you would miss a lot many opportunities. You would lose a lot of time. So
No,
that is
no,
something
but
that we also learned in COVID. We have to
yeah.
take a stand. Now what do we do? Do we admit
What
this
do
patient or not?
right?
In say a hospital, do we have to expand the triage area or not? So I learned over the period of time that I have to take a stand, कुछ भी हो जाए, because
No,
that
but
is very important.
not taking a stand is also taking a stand, and every time you
True.
don't take a stand, it actually backfires when you don't take.
Yeah,
So
I
sometimes
do
you
think so.
absolutely have to. Yeah. No, and before I come to you, Karishma, one thing which is I have to congratulate all of you, right? You are the first COVID batch that actually cleared that, because I don't think people know the stress of giving an exam with a mask on. I mean, for starters. Secondly, I know how many times your dates have been pushed back. So mentally, that's probably a crushing blow to just come all prepared and then hit refresh on the computer screen, and then and the reasons why they were pushed back, we all know. It's not like something could be done. India was going through a horrendous 3 months, 4 months from April through onwards. So I mean, how does it work? So and it takes a whole year, right? As people know that the process itself is sometimes crushing. You're like, oh my god, I gave something in September and now I have to wait till June for the results to come. So how does that? So Karishma, first the interview and then the second part, like I said.
Okay, so this is my second interview at UPSC. I gave the interview last year, so it was my first attempt. I was very cocky. I was super like, I am the best. And so because what happened is after I cleared mains, it became a very big deal somehow, because everyone is like, interview, so she's going to do really well because you're like, you're decent and all of that. So I was super. I cannot even put. This would be an understatement to say that I was overconfident. I was like, yeah, now I've got it. Like, ho gaya clear. So I didn't prepare that much. I was like, I'll just go dazzle them with my personality. That's all I'm going to do. And but so I was like, I was not nervous at all. But when I was sitting outside the room, that's when it suddenly hit me, and I got super nervous because I took it so lightly the entire preparation time. I was like, theek hai, who studies for all of this? They are not checking knowledge and all, and I'm done. I've done mains and all, and I was confident about my mains also for no reason. When marks came, I got average in both. But yeah, the point is that I did not take it seriously. So this time, and then I clearly did. I scored very average marks last year in the interview. So when the mark sheet came, I was like, okay, this is like a big eye opener that you don't just like dazzle people. And so what happened, because I got nervous, like how Valay said that you have to take a stand. I became very docile throughout the interview. So I thought that I was very spineless. Like they would be like, and I'm like, because I lost my confidence right outside the interview, and I didn't have strong preparation. So you have two things, right? You have your personality and your preparation. I was weak on preparation because I thought personality is going to take me through, and then I lost personality also there. So I bombed in. So this year I was like, I'm going to get my preparation strong in case I bombed the personality in the last moment. So as Valay said, I also had like a strong peer group. I was discussing issues. I was doing this and that. And I was like, I am going to take this interview as seriously as I've taken mains. And this year my interview was also towards the end. So I had a substantial amount of time. And this year I took a stand where I needed to, and I think I was able to do more justice to the interview. I respected the interview stage this year because I saw how it could get you out of the list. Like if I got just like 10 marks more in the interview, I would at least find myself on that PDF, right? So and no matter how we say ki like Mirja said, just finding yourself on that PDF really matters, because you know that the amount of effort you put, you have something to show for it, right? And when that didn't happen, I was like, okay, you have to respect every stage of the exam. And so this time around, I think it was much better. Like as soon as I came out, I said, I don't know about marks, but I felt much happier than I did last time. So I think that worked well. And COVID, again, as the second part that you mentioned, I keep telling this wherever we go, that this year has been like, this exam has been like, already it's an unpredictable exam, and we are giving it in unpredictable times. So it's like unpredictable square for us, which is a very tough journey for all of us. And it's not just the mental agony, it's the resources, it's the fact that wherever we were studying, I think I was uprooted from where I was studying, and then I had to study in a new location. So somehow all these small things also matters. Like it will change your schedule a little. Like suddenly everyone's working from home, so you have a full house also. So all of that, these small things, like in hindsight, it worked well that COVID year, because I failed in a COVID year. Everyone was sitting at home only, so I didn't have to face people outside. But the other thing is that, it was more challenging. I don't know, like compared to last year, this year was definitely more challenging for me because I put in more dedicated effort. But I also think, the COVID also played a major impact on like mental health, on the kind of stress that we had as well.
No, it's a stress also, na. It's like getting run out at 92, and then when you are at 95, I was like, abhi mujhe 6 nahi marna hai. I want to take 5 singles and slowly get to 100. So it's that's the perspective. And we'll go into the last part of the podcast. I know y'all have been very generous with your time. So we'll wrap up after one question. I think ultimately what you guys said, that the process also teaches you it's a crash course in humility and attitude management also, because you have your highs, you have your lows, you have your peer groups, and you have people around you. So personally, that's what I want to end with. And then before we end, there is a tradition we have on Mind Podcast, that because people are immersed themselves into politics, news, everything, we give one non-political, non-newsy book, TV show, streaming show, YouTube thing that you've come across in the last week, month, or something as a recommendation to our listeners and viewers. Because it's just, we find, and the minute whenever we've skipped it, we get a lot of angry comments saying, "Acha, ye week ka recommendations bhul gaye." So I make it a point to tell all my panelists. But yeah, Apala, I'll go with you first, right? From what I first said, right? Attitude wise, this teaches you, the journey teaches you so much in terms of how you have to cope with it.
Yes, that is, I think, the most important aspect of the UPSC preparation. And not just humility, I think it also teaches us how to take a stand for our own selves, and how to be self independent and only independent. And also, how to make your way through struggles and challenges and to come beyond that. So I think we get to know ourselves better in this entire journey. And that is, I think, the most important aspect of this preparation, apart from other things like humility and composure and clarity of mind. I think it is an entire package, and you enter as someone and you come out as a completely different, evolved, and a better version of yourself, is what I'd say.
Very fascinating, very, very well put. What about you, Nirja? What do you think?
I mean, I personally think like what I learned the most in this, and this was also my blog post, so I'm kind of plugging it. But really, like making mistakes really taught me a lot, because we're so afraid as like people in the world to like admit
Hmm.
any mistakes or make any mistakes. So
Hmm.
like this glorification happens of toppers, which is like I studied 18 hours a day, I did
Yeah.
this, that, and that's the kind of thing that stresses us out when we're studying. So like what I learned is that like be okay with yourself and
Hmm.
be okay with the mistakes you made and just grow from them, because if you
Yeah.
grow from them, then you're going to be able to like not just clear this exam but kind of do anything that's difficult in life.
Hmm.
I also think, like you said, crash course in humility, it is like that really, because whatever you've come with, you're at zero. So whether you've there are people who've gone to like Oxford, Cambridge, things like that, people who worked in
Hmm.
really prestigious jobs and left, but you're at zero and you have to start from scratch. So in a way, it's a great opportunity also
Hmm.
for like personal growth and development. And it's great opportunity generally also for people who may have not studied as much in college or may have not had the resources to develop themselves before, but would have the resources now through this exam.
Yeah. No, and I mean, as you said, it's about acknowledging the mistakes. Unless you're Chetan Bhagat, then you can write a bad book about your mistakes in life and make crores of rupees making a bad movie out of that book. But Valai, your take on this? You're on mute. That is one thing from the
Sorry.
pandemic, the invention of the mute button. There is no
Yeah,
discussion that's complete until someone's on mute. It still happens to us at work too. Yes, go ahead.
So I think this exam certainly humbles you. It makes
Hmm.
you aware about your strengths and weaknesses. It basically
Yeah.
exposes you to various ideas which normally, if I'm an engineer, I would not want to be exposed to, or even I would not just randomly open the newspaper and
Hmm.
read
Hmm.
about those things. It also helps you. Also makes you read those small words, wale details in the news rather than just headlines.
Yeah.
That was the first takeaway that I
Yeah.
took when I started preparing for this exam. कि अच्छा ये भी पढ़ना है अंदर वाला.
Hmm.
So because I never used to read those things,
Yeah.
I think it basically gives you this sort of confidence that if you are prepared seriously for this examination, you would be able to clear any other job interview, any other thing that you come across.
Hmm.
And I think that sense of confidence is very important, and that certainly gave me the confidence, because 2 years ago when I was searching for another private job, it came out very easily for me because I
Hmm.
knew many things which normally they would not expect anyone to know. So
Hmm.
I was able to analyze some of the interview questions very efficiently without even preparing separately
Hmm.
for it. So I think these exams certainly helps you. And as Apala also said that you enter someone else, and when you go outside
Yeah,
after preparing for this, you are someone else. And I think that has happened with me too.
absolutely, absolutely. What about you, Karishma?
Yeah, so I think more or less it's the same thing. So for most of us, this exam gives us the first academic failure that we faced. So I like, because anyone who's done decently well, because school also we are all passing, and then college
No, no,
also it's not that.
and can I give a 10-second quip, right? This is one of the only, because see, I've done 1 year of college, and then I majorly have done my college in US. One thing there is a difference is the US college system, as flawed as it is, gives you the option to fail. Right? In
Hmm.
India, the cost of failure is so high. This is the only exam where you can actually come back and start from a clean slate, where you're not burdened. Of course, there is societal burden and stuff, and that is something I've felt very passionate about. That हाँ हो जाती है गलती यार. Somebody can fail a class. It's not the end of the world. Don't lump it with other classes and make him अच्छा you got IF. अच्छा no, you'll have to give it in summer and stuff like that. I mean, make it a big thing. So I had to add that in because that's a very pet peeve of mine to
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about this.
and exactly. So like now when I look at it with the benefit of hindsight, it's like
Yeah,
I'm very glad that I didn't make it the first time, because I would get in with a lot of arrogance. Now I value it so much more. Like when I was giving my first attempt, I was like, "Look, 5 साल क्यों देते हैं इस exam को? 1 साल में
yeah.
you should finish it off. Like, what is this? Why aren't they putting exactly?" That is the kind of ignorance, yeah. That is what you come up with. So I think that humility, as we just said, it's a crash course. It may not be a crash course for many. It's something that it is taking long, and that is something that you start valuing. Like even now, when you see people who are as smart as you are putting as much of hard work, but still are not able to clear it, right? So
Yeah.
you understand that this exam, like we start, I keep telling that I attached my self-worth to this exam, so now I don't
Hmm.
want other people to do it. So
Hmm.
you acknowledge your privileges also, you acknowledge the struggles that people are going through, not just for the exam but for other things also. Like
Yeah.
I think a normalized failure for me to a certain extent, and made me value like people who are there for me, then like family,
Yeah.
and also like to start something from scratch and to see a beautiful end to it. I think it has been very like it's just a beautiful journey all in all. Yeah, like you start off differently, and then also ignorance reduces, like you're aware of more things, your opinion, suddenly your opinion matters, people are asking you about things. So yeah, all of that,
Taking you
it is,
seriously.
they are taking us seriously. Yeah, so
That
that
is
is just,
the thing. My joke with Neja has always been, when my follower count increased on Twitter, suddenly people were like, "अच्छा, आपको क्या लगता है?" I was like, I was the same person talking 2 years ago, but I'm glad 3,000 retweets convinced you otherwise, that I should be taken seriously now.
exactly. No, but I can't say the same thing. I was not the same person 3 years ago. I didn't have good opinions at all.
No,
So yeah,
I also, again, this is probably, I don't think I had the same opinions 3 years ago as well. I just hid them better 3 years ago is what. Now I don't care.
yeah.
And you're right about a crash course in humility. The people who don't take their course just end up crashing anyways. So it's just, that's how it works, right?
Yeah,
Um,
and one more thing I'd like to add is patience, right? So this, as you said, that I don't think I've ever patiently waited for anything. Like you get everything like instant gratification, right? This is like one thing that you're waiting for so long, and then it comes out, and then during that time also, you're not just looking at yourself. You have to look at society. You have to look at what is happening in the news, and like things like caste system and all. Like Nirja mentioned it in an answer. Like would she like mention this
Yeah.
3 years ago? No, this, the visibility of things has also increased for us. So that is
yeah.
something, that's why I tell people, prepare for the exam. Nevertheless, it'll just make you a much more well-rounded person, even if you don't
No,
make it
and
like
and and,
successful.
and what I'm coming to Valay to you in a second. He was raising his hand about a point. What you said about privilege is very interesting. It's also, you can there is a thing about failing and being affording to fail, right? Being like, so maybe we can afford to fail and many cannot afford to fail, right? I personally feel I could afford to fail. I can afford to fail now, but when I had to take a class again 10 14 years ago when I moved to US, I was horrified. I was like, oh my god, I have to like take a class again and go through all. So I just feel like, as you grow and you realize that acknowledgement of that privilege ki ha, we can afford to fail. There are many others who cannot afford to fail. So
Yeah.
now that I have got another chance, I have to make the most of it.
That is true. You don't take that for granted anymore.
Yeah, that's recognized. Just to summarize the point about privilege, you said, well, your point. Yeah.
नहीं, the point that I was trying to make was a very simple one कि सबने यहाँ पे humility में crash course किया है. मैंने ही college degree की है 5 साल लगा के.
तो भी engineering में law degree की है because it's 5 years, not 4.
Yeah.
Definitely, the law degree is not a degree in humility. I'll tell you that.
All humble people leave law.
Yeah.
To do something else.
So like Karishma was saying that, like patience, I think growing up in Mumbai, you develop no patience because like everything here is so fast paced, like you have to rush from place to place. So like you just develop that as a mindset overall, and you go to other places and you're like, oh, people wake up at like 8 a.m. and then they reach work by 9 a.m. It is possible. Like, it's just not the same for us at all.
I love Mumbai, Nirja, you know that, but I have to make this joke. It's not about people in Mumbai developing patience. They don't even anticipate patience from others. Like, they become very impatient when it comes to dealing with others also. So I am like, not only develop patience, thoda anticipation bhi rakho duniya se. They will get
not live, I will tell you, I hope you've ordered my Amazon thing.
No, but this I'm keeping on. No, I'm kidding. Apala, I'll come to you and then we'll wrap up with closing comments. Any comments you had on this? And then I also want recommendations, like if you have to give any recommendations for our listeners and viewers to read, watch anything.
Yeah, so right now, like in the past 1 month, I've not really watched anything specific, but I can recommend a book that I really like, and I think most of the people here must have read it. It is called Tuesdays with Morrie, and it is written by Mitch Albom, and that is, I think, my favorite book of all time. So that is my recommendation.
Fascinating. And anything you wanted to add to what they were saying, Apala? Anything on the humility portion and
yeah, one thing I'd like to add here is that the kind of stress that this exam gives us, I think we need to talk more about it, more about the mental health issue and the aspect about it. Because it is very easy to fall into that black hole of self-doubt and identity crisis and whatnot in this exam. True, I think almost everyone, I cannot even say that it is true more for some people and less for some. I think that is something we all need to talk more about and address it more, because any competitive exam in India, not just UPSC, any competitive exam, it takes a huge toll on the mental health. So that is there, and I think we all should address it more.
No, and you're right, because I think we all mentioned it in joke where she mentioned the hostel person and so forth. Karishma talked about that because ultimately you all are success stories, right? So now you can actually look back on those memories and laugh it out. But there are many people. I mean, people who don't know the figures. Over 1 million people register for it with a pass rate of 0.2% or less than that. I think 790 plus or some people cleared the UPSC this time, right? So there are probably 500,000 stories out there similar to hearing similar things to what Nirja, Valai, Karishma and Apala have heard, but their experience isn't probably as pleasant now because they have not searched for their name or they couldn't find their name on their PDF. That emotion is probably associated with something else, and they probably, for them, that becomes even a bigger issue than it does for many people who've been lucky enough to clear the UPSC exam. Wouldn't you guys agree? Yeah, so I mean, I'll go to Karishma, you next, or Valai, you next. Whoever wants to take that question.
Yeah, there is no doubt about it. Like, as you said, so there is like a big luck factor also. So I was hearing some talk in which they said that there are 2 doors and there's UPSC at the end of it, right? So the first door is like the effort and the time you put and all your hard work. So that will only open one door. Then the other door is a lot of things which are not in your control. A lot of things have to align, like you have to have a good day, you have that luck and all of that. So you don't know when that door will open, right? So this door, you have to do your best to open the door so that at least you know that when this door opens, you are there in between the two. So this is something that I think I'm also very happy that a lot of us are now talking about this, about how we don't have, like, it is very normal that even if you put in the time and effort, you might not succeed, right? And a lot of toppers are talking about it, and it's something which needs to be told, because everyone thinks that if you don't get a result, you're a failure. But the journey itself, we know how every one of us has struggled and has faced a lot of challenges and made it. And it is also I think some YouTube channels are also telling these stories of aspirants only, of not just success stories. So yeah, that is something that I think, especially in such an exam where the success rate is so less, it is all the more important to talk about the fact that it's okay to like acknowledge that there are a lot of things which are not in your control in this exam.
Which is why, as much as it annoys you, you guys probably mentioning that YouTube show on aspirants that TVF created, what is intriguing is how few the success stories are, and how the more time is spent on talking about the people that didn't make it, because that is essentially the crux of it all. That's why people related to it a lot more. And I'll go to Valay next, but Karishma, you have to give me a recommendation. I won't let you go without it.
So I'll give you one book, one movie. I think When Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanidhi. I also second Apala's recommendation. It's a beautiful book, and my recommendation would be Breath Becomes Air by Paul Kalanidhi. It's very life altering, I feel. And to watch, it's a Malayalam movie. You can watch it with subtitles, because that's one movie I think every Indian household should watch. It's called Great Indian Kitchen. It's on Amazon Prime.
They took it out.
They did. No, it's still there. I saw it yesterday. No, I think it's
Sorry.
US.
Oh, you did.
Wala.
Oh, so for US, I think they took it out. I have to find another resource where I can watch that movie. It's a lovely movie.
It is. People should definitely like view it, and actually put to like, I know that I sat and I told my dad about it, and then it became very casual. It's just a movie. I think we should have proper conversations about the idea behind it.
You'll be very proud of me, because 2 months ago when Drishyam 2 came out, I actually saw it on Amazon. It's a fascinating movie, right? I watch anything with Mohanlal in it anyways. I mean, and so they're like, "Acha, you watch a Malayali movie?" And so I looked at them, I was like, "Acha, you watch K-pop, K-dramas on Netflix? I don't think you understand Korean. So why the hell should I know Malayali too?" But somehow Indians have, like, we can watch Money Heist, where we'll like, no, I like to hear the original Spanish audio and subtitles, but we can't watch Tamil movies, Telugu movies, Malayali movies. So I get my wife jokes that uske andar ka matlab Bharat Bhagya Vidhata jag gaya, because I always get into argument. I was like, it's the same thing. Just like how you watch a Korean drama, watch a Malayali movie.
Yeah, it's about what story they are telling.
And that's what I love.
Whichever language is fine.
That's why I love Amazon and Netflix. That at least they have subtitles. You probably are horrified listening to what they're translating, but since we can't understand the language, I'm very happy with the subtitles.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I obviously like turn off the subtitles.
Turn it off, yeah.
Yeah.
So absolutely. Valay, you, and then I'll coming to Nija, the last. Yeah.
Yes, where were we? I mean,
see, that's what I told about podcast and digression. You digress very quickly. So we were talking about the stories, mental health in UPSC, and your recommendation.
Yes. So I think it is important that even the failure stories come out in front of people's eye, because many people have put in six attempts and they have missed cutoff by even margin like 1-2 marks, and how they feel they are worthless. But actually, the kind of resources, the kind of things that they have developed in their mind, the kind of knowledge base they have, they are probably more resourceful than many of us out there. So absolutely. I think their stories also need to come out. Not just aspirant story, but also the failure stories, because that makes it normal for other people who have failed this exam, because I've also failed it thrice and once also in the interview before this. So it is important, I think, to bring those stories also out. And if I talk about the book recommendations or movie recommendations, I'll give 2 book recommendations. First is The Stranger by Albert Camus. I think that is very, very nice book, and also explains how I am, how my thinking has developed based on existentialism. And second book is Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles. That is a very nice book, and I think someone who likes to read fiction books should read it. It's basically a description of how a former aristocrat, Count Rostov, spent his entire life in a hotel. Wow. And it's a wonderful book, how he goes from being an aristocrat to being a cook to a waiter and so on. And it's a brilliant book, and I think someone has the time should read it.
Absolutely. And the movie you said?
Movie, my personal favorite is Interstellar, but most people have
Interstellar.
watched it.
Oh, I
So,
love it. Yeah.
yeah, so
And
I
and
think,
well, I personally feel everyone should watch anything that Chris Nolan does three times and then try to understand it the fourth time they watch it. So,
I have probably
especially
watched it
true.
six times.
Yeah, the last one. I forget what was the name of this last movie that came out.
Tenet.
Um, Tenet. There we go. Yeah, the first
Tenet.
time I had to actually read it, then read the plot on Wikipedia, and then watch it again because it's ridiculously complicated. Yeah, and shot in Mumbai actually this time. This movie.
I can understand Interstellar.
When you come here next, we'll watch it together, and I'll go
Yeah,
over
I'd
the
really
entire
do.
movie with
I
you.
think you should
Uh,
screen
You
it.
know,
I say I have a lot of questions too, but so yeah, you should have
Yeah,
like a
I
so
can
session
we
on
should.
so there is this.
Interstellar viewing.
Yeah,
So
we will.
I
after the
feel
movie
like
got released,
Interstellar
Interstellar.
should come with a book. Like you should
Huh.
have a book which you understand.
No, no,
Sorry,
no.
what
You
was?
should, since you guys are Gujarati,
Hmm.
you should read this review. Review ka YouTube video hai, where a Gujarati goes to watch Interstellar.
Hmm.
You should watch it. It's very funny. It's very nice. I mean,
Oh,
he explains it after watching the movie and so on. I mean,
yeah.
it's wonderful. You should
I
watch
think
it. It's
most
I think
people.
3-4 minutes.
Oh, we'll definitely watch it. Most people just get shocked when you hear the fifth dimension in time. That's what happens. Nirja, what were you saying? Your recommendations and the mental health part. And then we'll wrap up. I'm
Uh,
sorry, guys, we've gone over time, but this has been a lot of fun. So my apologies. You guys have all been very generous with your time. Nirja, you next.
Yeah, I'll be quick. So, the mental health thing, I think everybody's covered some aspects of it. I want to talk about the archetype of a topper. So, I feel like even aspirants or like any kind of media coverage goes into like creating a certain stereotype or archetype of what a topper should be. So,
Hmm.
a topper studies this many hours. A topper does not meet friends. A topper does this, that. But you know what? There are a lot of different type of people giving this exam. So my personal experience was that like a college professor said that, "Yeah, I never thought you would clear UPSC. You're a silent performer." I was like, it was just hilarious because because in college I was more into like dance club and like college fairs and stuff. I
Hmm.
mean, I did study, but I wasn't into that. But you expect that a person from day one has to be like a school topper, a college topper, academically so focused instead of trying to figure out, oh, does this person's personality match what the exam and what the job requires? So that is one thing that I think affected my mental health because I always felt that I need to be like less like talkative or like more restrained or like more into like very very academic stuff, and only after I've cleared and I've seen so many interesting people do I feel like reconciled with myself. When it comes to recommendations, I have a book recommendation. It's an old book, but I just read it. It's called The Great Derangement by Amitav Ghosh.
Hmm.
And it's about climate change, but it's about climate change in a very interesting manner because it kind of explains how our entire society is sort of structured around not being able to comprehend climate change. So it goes into like the societal aspect, the psychological aspect. And I think the climate change debate overall has become very political, and like to separate yourselves from it and like understand what it really means day to day, that is
Hmm.
really important. And there's a whole chapter on Mumbai, so I loved that. A movie recommendation, I mean, I would also go maybe regional and go for Helaro because I think it's one of the most brilliant movies ever made. So for Karishma Napala, this movie won a National Film Award. It's a Gujarati movie, and it's about a group of women in Kutch who learn to use dance as a means of freedom. So, folk dance and Garba is something that I've always very much connected with. And these women were not able to dance because of the social restrictions there. So I think it explained how like small freedoms can mean so much to someone, and we take those for granted. And the Garba and the songs are like absolutely fantastic. So I think you guys should definitely watch it.
Absolutely fascinating recommendations, Nirja. Before I wrap up, my recommendations would be first and you may have heard this. This is one of mine, Sunanda's favorite books, The Incomplete Book of Running by Peter Sagal. If you guys haven't read that, Peter Sagal is the host of one of NPR's most celebrated shows. Wait, don't tell me. Listen to the radio show and read this book. This is when we talk about mental health and stuff. The way he approaches it, and it's a very smart, funny sort of honest and read on it. And second is a show I watched. I don't know where it is on India because here it's aired on Hulu. It's called Dope Sick. It's about how there was a drug called OxyContin that was pushed by a pharmaceutical company in United States, and two lawyers, district attorneys in in a state in Virginia, took on the might of Purdue Pharma, and where like I don't I want to say it's a brilliant story, but it just kills you from within when you see what that drug has done. But it is also the spirit of those lawyers who just refuse to give up is fascinating. So watch those. I'm giving two completely different recommendations, but that's what Mind Podcast is all about. Nirja, Valai, Karishma, Pala, thank you so much for joining. I hope you guys had as much fun as I did. If you didn't have fun, please lie to our viewers that you had a lot of fun. And then when I stop recording, you can absolutely say how pathetic it was. But thank you guys for joining.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much.
This was great, and good
Thank
luck
you.
from Team Mindmakers. We hope to see you guys do very well and hope to interview soon. हम तो mic लेके उधर ही खड़े रहेंगे. So maybe next time in your offices, or when you're visiting United States next, or when I'm in India next, we'll talk about what you have done a few months, a few years from now, and how your journey has been thus far. But good luck
Thank you
on
so
all your
much.
journey, and guys, please like, subscribe, share. मुझे हर 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 हफ्ते मुझसे मत बुलवाओ, पर कर लो, and leave your comments and let us know how it went. Till then, we'll be back with part 2 with of this UPSC
I always
discussion.
wanted to do a like, share, subscribe. Please like, share, subscribe. I was like, I've never done this in my life, so I wanted to do it once.
Thank
You can do
you.
it from my channel, plugging
Okay.
that in.
Yes, Apala. Please, I want to.
Yes, please follow all the
Please like,
so-
share, and subscribe Apala's channel as well. She puts up
Absolutely.
videos out for UPSC preparation.
Absolutely,
Yes, I've done
absolutely.
2 already.
No, do like, share, subscribe. There, do follow them all on Twitter and everything. We'll be tagging them on Twitter, and we'll be posting it everywhere on Facebook, Insta, so forth. So guys, do check it out and let us know. We'll be back later this week with part 2 with 4 other UPSC candidates, from aspirants to candidates, and their journey, and then we'll wrap up this 2-part series on this. But thank you all so much, and we'll be back soon with it. Till then, it's goodbye.